Well, good morning. This is Jim Moore. You're watching Justice for America, and this is program. Wait a minute. It is episode number 38. I usually say the date first. It's March 7th, 2023. I heard a pretty well-known commentator yesterday get the year wrong, so I feel better about myself today. So, greetings. Glad to have you here this morning. This is the program where we discuss social events, current events, things that are going on in the spheres of society. Some call them the seven spheres. I don't really care what you call them, but just what's happening in the world and not just what's happening in the church. As you know, I am a gospel man. I am a preacher of the gospel. However, I also feel a commission of the Lord to talk about what's going on in the world because I think God's concerned and I think we ought to be concerned as well. So come on today and say hello. Let us know that you're watching, and we will acknowledge you as long as I can see you. Sometimes I cannot. So there's Linda Etherton. God bless you. Angie, God bless you. And then there's my beloved Linda. And so glad to have you guys. So very grateful for those of you who just continue to show up day by day. And I hope that this is helpful for you. That is our goal. So I woke up this morning to a scripture. Now, let me tell you what we're going to talk about. First of all, we're going to talk about Biden gets a rebuke. All right. So the president gets a rebuke from a mom. You're going to want to hear about that. The day of infamy. Now, I'm not going to tell you what that day is. It's definitely not the day of Pearl Harbor. Some of you know the reference, but we'll get to that eventually. The FBI makes some admissions finally, which normally happens after a certain amount of time has elapsed. We'll get into that. And then redacted no more. The picture that I used on Facebook to advertise this morning was redacted. Many of you, I know sometimes, maybe I'm just not that smart, but people throw out these words all the time. And this is one I've known about, but other words I'm like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. So I have to look it up. Thank God for internet search. Anyway, redacted is when things are hidden. So I don't want to get into that real quick here, but I will. So we'll talk about what redacted means, what it means when things are no longer redacted, and so on. And then 100,000 documents that have been released. 100,000, that's a lot. So again, we typically go through links, and my job is to direct you to those links. I'm not here primarily to just do a bunch of my opinions, although I'm going to give my opinion for sure. Some of these things I'm going to be right about. Some of them I won't be, and I'm good with that. I'm okay with that because I believe that is every human being. We all strive to be right 100% of the time, and none of us do it. Okay, it's just the truth. Okay, we have to admit that. So I'll go through these links and direct you to them, and then it'll be up to you if you want to take the time to go to them. I certainly hope you do, or else about 90% of this program is not very valuable to you. All right, so I woke up again this morning. I turned on the internet, the music I like to listen to from the IHOP prayer room, and the young lady was singing this verse, Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 9. Let me read it for you. I don't normally read a verse, but I want to today. This is the prophet Jeremiah. Now, Jeremiah was a social commentator for his day, as well as a prophet who taught people the ways of the Lord in both of those areas. He said, I will not make mention of him. You ever get discouraged? You ever get to the place where you're like, what good am I doing? I know that most people at one time or another feel that way. Jeremiah felt that way. You're in good company. He said, I'm not going to talk about him anymore. That's what he said. He said, I will not make mention of him, talking about God, and I will not speak anymore in his name. But, okay, and this is what always happens to Jim Moore. But his word was in my heart like a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I was weary of holding back, and I could not. And so I found myself in that position. I'm sure you have too. And so many people feel like they have been kowtowed into silence. They have been manipulated or pressured or intimidated into not saying what is on their heart. And you know what? It is a precious, precious gift that God himself in my opinion, I believe with all my heart, he gave to the embryonic country of the United States of America to be able to speak your mind without going to jail. Most other countries, or many at least, you go to jail. You just go to jail. And like I know a lot of people say, especially some believers, like, oh, it's okay because we're called to lay down our rights and all that. That's such a bunch of foolishness. I'm sorry, it really is. Anyway, so I'm going to ask a quick question, then jump into the links. Okay, are you ready for your question of the day today? Are you ready? Is God a God of justice? That's my question to you today. Is God a God of justice? Well, almost every person who believes in God would say yes to that. Absolutely. Because it's just so prolific. Thanks, hon. There's my number one supporter right there. So prolific in the Bible that God is a God of justice. It's, the righteousness and just foundation of his throne. He is definitely a God. A justice is what a judge determines. A judge sits on his bench as God does his, calls it a throne, and he determines not just the difference between right and wrong, but also how to remedy wrong into right. That is the primary work of a judge, is not just to punish people. We think of a judge. Anyway, so yes, God is a God of justice, for sure, 100%. He's never changed. He never will change about that. All right, so if you answered yes, let me go to the next question. If that is true, and this has to do with all of the links today, if God is a God of justice, then why is there so much injustice in the world today? Well, believe it or not, it's a relatively simple. I'm not here to give you a theological lesson, but it's a relatively simple answer. It's because it's not about God, it's about us. God gives human beings the responsibility to determine what is just or unjust and to do their best to correct that according to his will. So the answer is God a God of justice? Yes. If so, why so much injustice? Here's the answer. Now listen close, and then I'll jump into the links. We, you and I, the world in general, hi Robin, we justify injustice to get what we want. Okay? 8 words. I'm counting them on my fingers right now. You can't see them. These would be great words to write down and put somewhere in your home. It's important. And I know a lot of people who are believers, they have a difficult time juxtaposition, that's a big fancy $25 word, melding together the idea of grace and law. Now, let me just say real quickly, as long as human beings dwell on the earth and the Lord is not seated as the righteous judge in Jerusalem, as it says he will be, we will have law. Listen to me, especially you who are Christians, we will always have the rule of law. When the scripture goes into law and grace, it's talking about salvation, it's talking about our position with God and so on. As long as there is a single fallen human being on the earth, there will be laws that say, no, you cannot kill your brother, no, you cannot rob, from the shopping market. Actually, it's happening a lot right now. Maybe I'll get into that. So why do people do it? If people believe in God, and I will say this real quick. Linda and I watched yesterday a number of videos. This, how would I say it, entitlement thing has grown to such a degree that people are actually, hear me now, actually getting angry for being stopped and told they cannot shoplift. I kid you not. They're getting indignant. So we're watching these videos, 2 or 3 different people come in, and they're just shoplifting willy-nilly. Why? Because they've watched so many videos about, first it was the mobs, right? First it was a whole mob, and there's not much you can do about this mob bum rushing the store and grabbing whatever they want. As that became accepted and certain governments said we're not going to arrest them, and even the store chains and the corporate head said no, don't do anything about it, that then, you see, transgression doesn't stay fixed. It grows. The common sense of understanding that seems to have eluded us. All right? So now it is regular people are just walking in, grab what they want, and walk out. TVs, clothes, whatever. That's why all these stores are locking them up. Okay? They have no other choice. So a couple of these, unfortunately, there were women, okay, there were women who were stealing, and they were confronted by someone that still had enough courage, right, to say, that's wrong, you cannot do that in my store. And the perpetrator got angry at them. Now, how does this relate to those 8 words? We justify injustice to get what we want. We know it's not right to shoplift, but we've decided we want it anyway, so we come up with reasons to justify. Shoplifting is an injustice. It is not just to steal what belongs to someone else, okay? I don't know if we got to go back to the 10 Commandments. I know I'm sounding preachy here, but it is simply unjust. Almost everybody in the world will go, yeah, that's not right. You don't want them to steal from you, right? Yes, please come steal all my stuff. No, of course not. I don't want you to steal my stuff. Ipso facto, you can't steal someone else's stuff, okay? It's not rocket science. It's amazing we even have to have these discussions, but we do. So these ladies were getting indignant. How dare you make me do this? And then they start, yeah. So why do we justify injustice? Because ultimately we want what we want, and we're willing to justify. Now, I want to take you to a governmental level of that. I want to also say, again, as I've said many times, but in case you missed it, I want to make it very, very clear. Okay, I do not despise my country. I do not hate my country. I'm not angry with the country per se. I grieve over people that are messed up. I am, however, very much disappointed with my governance, the governance of, and I'm not saying, I'm not against politics. Do you understand that? Neither should you be. If you think about what, I know when we think about politics, we think of crooked politicians and blah, 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 and this and that. We just think of all the bad things. Politics, listen to me now. Listen to that. You really need to get this in your heart. Politics is simply the act of making policy. 2 P words. Politics means policy. People make policy, okay? They make laws. Laws will always be here. They're for the protection of those who choose not to be a criminal, okay? That's what they're for, okay? I don't hate politics. I hate the way it's done sometimes. I hate it when unrighteous people who have their own agenda get in there and do whatever the heck they want to do in order to get to it. They are willing to be unjust in order to get what they want. They're willing to justify injustice to get what they want. Okay, and we don't want that. Okay, nobody in their right mind wants that. All right, except for the people that want what they want. Okay, how does this apply to our governance? Dana, God bless you. Hope you're feeling better. So all those things that I just said are applicable to these links that I have on. Link number 1. And again, my job is not to give you every minute detail of these links. I want to give you a quick overview of them so that you will go look at them, okay? So sometimes I go a little deep on them, but I don't want to give you every person's name and all that. I want you to go look at them. And you really need to do that, okay? It is I'm going to tell you it's your responsibility as a citizen to do that. You do need to know. I'm not talking about, you notice I don't put a lot of people getting murdered and this person did this and rape and stuff. No, I'm just talking about mostly about what's happening in the country, how our leaders are handling that, and really what should be done. So, having said all that, this is actually one of those that's a little hard. Number 1. So there is a man named Mark Middleton who was a Clinton advisor who was connected to the what's his name? I'm forgetting his name right now. Let's see if I can see it here. I didn't write it down. The guy that was accused had the island. What's his name? I'm not remembering. anyway, had a connection to Epstein. That's who it was. Thank you, Lord. Epstein. And somebody who worked for Hillary Clinton found dead the other day. Actually, was found dead 9 months ago. The news just came out the other day. Why is this important? Well, I'm going to tell you why. He was hung by a tree by an electrical cord, okay, and received a shotgun wound to his chest, okay, completely expired. Now, here's the crazy part about it. And normally, if this was just some person, maybe it wouldn't have gotten any attention or whatever. But because he was an advisor to the Clinton administration, all right, it was ruled as a suicide. No weapon, okay? There's no way a guy can shoot himself and then go dispose of the weapon, okay? It doesn't work that way. So hung by a tree, shot with a shotgun, and what am I saying? I'm saying it is perceived in the mind of so many leaders today, not all of them, because there are good and bad, that this is necessary in order to keep the agenda flowing, keep the narrative going. Okay, hide people that do wicked things, hide in the dark. Okay, they love the darkness because it hides their evil deeds. Words of Jesus. All right. So that's the first one. I don't want to go deep in there, but I think it kind of lays the groundwork for some of the things we want to talk about today. And that is the idea that hiding things, justifying, redacting, hiding things is acceptable, yea, even necessary in the minds of some in order to arrive at the desired result. Okay? I'm going to justify my injustice in order to get what I want. Now, there may be the rarest of occasions that you might need to do that. Somebody comes in your home and your wife and kids are hiding in the closet and they demand that you, are you the only one in the house and you tell a lie. Okay, lying is an injustice. That would be you justifying your injustice for the greater good. Okay, so I'm not saying 100% of the time there's never a justification. I actually believe there would be. At times you might have to ask forgiveness, but I think God would get it. But when that grows to the place to where pretty much everything you do is viewed through the lens, it is scrutinized through the lens of, okay, do I want people to know about this or not in order to protect myself, protect the narrative, or what have you. That has grown. Okay, I'm not trying to use a lot of big words here. I'm trying to be simple about this. That has grown to a place where it is absolutely like one rotten apple corrupting all the rest. It is absolutely corrupting and rotting this country. Rotting. We see other countries, I've been to them, where that kind of a mentality has prevailed way, way long ago. See, we started out with the opposite of that mentality. I'm looking for a speech that I heard from John F. Kennedy, where he talks about this very thing. And he says it so eloquently. It's just a little 2-minute, 3-minute section of a speech where he says, when we begin to think that we can justify our hiddenness and our deception, all in the name of the greater good, we will lose our country. Friend, we are at the doors of that right now. Thank God that the Lord has raised up massive sources of information. Please don't just disregard that. He did that for the purpose of turning this thing around. Hi, Heather. All right. So, let's go to Biden gets a rebuke. Fear the mom. Okay. Fear the mama bear. Any mama bears out there? Yeah. Don't you ever let the powers that be and the public opinion and popularity shut you down from being a mama bear. We need you now more than we have ever needed you. Go to that school and voice yourself and be upset about it. I'm telling you today, okay, I'll have to answer the Lord for this. I'm fully aware of that. But I think there are times you need to be upset. Okay, I'm not saying, go threaten and dropping F-bombs. And I'm just, but there is a kind of righteous indignation. We hardly ever even hear about it or talk about it. And it's rare to hear somebody give a a biblical idea of what's literal righteous indignation is, but there is such a thing. If God can get angry, and he still does, yes, my theological friends, even in the New Testament, you cannot sanitize that part of his character out of the scripture because you want to, okay? If God can get angry and sin not, and we're commanded to get angry and sin not, then there are times we should. I'm telling you, I'm not saying be an angry person. I'm not saying just go around all the time. But if you can watch somebody have an injustice thrown upon them and feel nothing about it, there is something wrong. We're not supposed to be okay with that. I use extreme examples to help us move into that idea that, okay, there are some examples. I use this example all the time. If a child was walking down the street, and as he's coming by, he passes a grown adult man, and that man grabs and starts beating on that child, and you feel nothing, okay? Nothing. No sense of injustice rises up. No righteous anger at that abuse, that injustice. Listen, we're not robots. The same God who says, I'm not okay with that, you ought to be able to say, I'm not okay with that. All right? Are you getting what I'm saying? I feel like I am always coming against this thing that I hear all the time from people. We're just supposed to turn the other cheek and be meek and mild. There are many instances where we're supposed to do that. But we must never lose our sense of God-given, God-opinionated justice. It's not an excuse for you to be a bonehead. So this mother, all right, get on track, Jim. This mother rebukes Biden. Now, real quick, you can read the details, but real quick, her two sons got some pain pills. I don't know all the backstory, but they had been laced with fentanyl. And we talked many times about the border invasion. And I will call it an invasion because that's actually what it is. You know, you hear all kinds of numbers from the left that are way, way low and from the right that are way, way high. But I believe from my investigating, it is literally a couple million people that have come in the country illegally. And because of that, not all of them, I believe there's a lot of just simply oppressed people that are trying to get a better life. I get that. Should we do this? Should we do that? What should we do? Blah, blah, blah. That's another whole story. I'm just saying, you can't throw everybody in one pot. You just can't do it, okay? It's always wrong to break the law, but people do it for different reasons. The bad guys, the criminals, the cartels that are, they said, I heard one thing the other day that enough fentanyl has come across our borders to kill every human being in the United States 3 or 4 times over. I heard one liberal guy talk about it the other day and say, as long as there's a demand, there's going to be a supply. You know what? Okay. I get it. I understand that I probably shouldn't go down this road. But that is a flimsy excuse to throw up your hands and say, well, we can't do anything about it because there's a demand for it. That's ridiculous. That is a it's a dereliction of duty to permit evil things to happen because you say there's a demand for it. Okay? It doesn't fly with God. It'll never stand before the Lord. All right. So this mom, whose 2 kids died the first time they took fentanyl, and that's the one thing about this drug that is so crazy. You can die the first time you take it, and moms and dads, you better talk to your kids about it. Now, what happened was President Biden, this woman, this mom, went online and she was thrashing President Biden, saying, this is your fault. You allowed this, and you know my opinion on this. I'm not going to back up on it. This is a political thing. This has nothing to do with compassion for immigration or immigrants. This has to do with winning the vote. Done. Discussion. Yeah, I know there's all these little complicated. We make everything so complicated, then we feel better about it. It really does come down to one primary simple answer. The party that's in control says, we let these people in, they'll vote to us. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. The cost of that has been hundreds of thousands of deaths of our sons and daughters. And this mama bear got up and said, how dare you do this? How dare you allow this? These are my kids. Now, Biden's response to that, foolishly, was to go in a press release or whatever. I don't know the context. And he's talking about this, and he's actually mocking. It's slightly. He's not like going crazy with it, but he actually laughs. Here, this woman thinks it's my fault. And she freaks out on him. And all the networks pick it up. And it's like, how dare you? Even at the base level of having enough common sense, just common sense, human decency, not to use someone's grief and suffering as a talking point to make you look good. I mean, even if you were the most evil person in the world, you should be smart enough to know that's going to have the opposite effect. And with that, so I've got actually a few videos, or a couple videos. The first one, Mother of Two Dead Teens Rebukes Biden, that's a read. You can read that one. I recommend that you do. And then there are two very short videos about her being interviewed as to about this. Okay, number 3. I got to be careful about this one. And I'm tired of being careful. I really am. And maybe one of these days I won't go on the YT anymore. Okay? But until the Lord tells me that, I'm going to keep posting on YouTube. I'm going to keep putting it on there. But this one has to do with a specific event that has been heralded as bad as the Civil War. And I'm going to call it IT. Is it IT? Oh, IN, excuse me. Okay. First of the year. I'm not going to give the date. They'll take this down. I like to keep it up here. But the incident that happened that has been seized upon and promoted as something that it actually wasn't. Not an attempt to take over the governing body of this country. Now, I can't say too much about it, but there has been a whole bunch of information that has come out. This is a Tucker video, okay? Please don't fall for the, how could I say this without defaming them? I don't want to defame another news, but there are other news agencies that are conservative, that are kind of new, they're less than, or about a year old or so. They're actually starting to attack each other. It's so foolish. You got guys that are basically trying to do the same thing, and that's expose the darkness and tell the truth, and they're attacking each other in order to get more ratings. God, dear God help us. Don't be fooled by that. Okay, you listen for yourself. Don't say, oh, you can't listen to Fox because this guy says this. Oh, you can't listen to this. Okay, think for yourself. Okay? Anyway, Tucker comes out and he talks about this day. You just need to watch a video. You just, this to me, for me, is the most important one on here. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. And again, what does this have to do with Redacted? What does this have to do? Guys like Steve Turley, Glenn Beck, Tucker Carlson, and I can name, there's a bunch of people out there who are saying, listen, we are tired of being lied to, either by omission, which is what Redacted is, or commission, which is intentionally speaking something that they know is opposite of the truth. Me and Linda watched a video, I think it was last night, and I can't remember the name of the guy, but he was on the Bill Maher show. If I think of his name, I'll tell you. And this man is a comedian, and he is a leftist. He's not a conservative. He's not a right. He's a left. And he gets on there, and he just challenges their foolishness and how that they basically are lying. Okay, and he's actually one of them. It's fascinating to watch. People are getting tired of it. And here's another thing I'm going to say real quickly. As an ambassador for the King of all kings, I don't apologize for that. Truth is coming. The man who calls himself truth will one day appear and sit on a throne. And all lies, all deception, all that has been hidden and unforgiven and still remembered will be exposed. And I believe what we're seeing now is a gradual exposing. Really, if everything came out at one time, it likely cause at least this country to implode. It really would. The level of corruption and so on. So what we're seeing is incremental truth being exposed as we move towards that day. So don't be afraid of it. Don't freak out about it. Please don't ignore it, okay? Because it's a work of the Lord. It is literally a work of the Lord. He is exposing. Now, if you have a super hard time and you get depressed by everything, I get it. That's, whatever you feel like you need to do. All right. All of this is like that. So I said I'd tell you what Redacted is. If you saw the picture on Facebook, you've seen this in movies and stuff where they show typically a sheet of paper that has written down something that happened, and they block out in big black ink the parts they don't want you to see. That's what, when a document has been redacted, it means covered up. Okay, line after line, this, that, a word here, a word there. I've even seen a couple where the whole page was blacked out except for like 2 words. That is what's going away. There's actually a program in here I'll get to in a minute called Redacted that I recommend with some caveats to watch. So anyway, number 4. Now, I put a couple of these, I put the source. You can find the source as soon as you turn it on, but I put it because I wanted to tell you about the source. So number 4 is a news agency called Vice, VICE. I don't really recommend a lot of their stuff. I talked about this the other day because in their attempt to not be so careful they don't tell things the way they really are, they go overboard in my opinion. And they get crass and they drop F-bombs and they show things they shouldn't show. But on occasion, they do put out something I think is worthwhile. This is one of them. And we've been talking about AI. I just want to hit this one thing real quick, and then we're going to go back to the whole redacted thing. For those of you that have been following the issue of transhumanism and AI and the combining of biological humanity with mechanical artificial intelligence. Okay, you've probably not seen this. Again, yeah, media. The next thing that has happened, and this first time I've seen it, they're saying, okay, we're going to start putting together, they've already done the, implanting. This is not a secret, okay? This is not a conspiracy. They've already experimented with people putting chips in the brains. Elon Musk it's out there. It's not a secret, okay? But this is different than that. They say we're going to take human cells, human brain tissue, and try to join them with AI. Now, a chip is like the first step in that, okay? But they're saying, oh no, we're actually going to take at the molecular level. Here's what they call it. So Chat GPT, most of you know what that is now. Look it up if you're not. They call this bio for biological computing. The melding of biological computing, biocomputing, brain tissue combining with the artificial intelligence. They call this means organoid, okay? Organoid. So like, organisms, and I don't know what the oid is, artificial. Organoid intelligence. You'll have to look at it, just about the time I think I've seen it all. Trust me on this. God won't let this go forever. He won't. Okay? All right. So let's jump back to out of that. Number 5. And I actually said in my title of this should make you angry. This is one of those things that should make you angry. This kind of a cover-up, this kind of hiddenness, okay? You're going to see, and again, I have to be careful about this one. When you watch this and read this, you're going to see that documents have come out where people who are in charge of science, in charge of sicknesses, basically came out and had discussion. These are documents from WhatsApp, I think 100,000 of them, where we actually now get to peer into their secret conversations, where they're saying, yeah, we need to use this as a tool of fear. These are high-ranking officials, as a tool of fear so that we can control the masses. They literally say it out loud. Yeah, that should make you mad. That people in leadership, not all leaders, but people in leadership are saying, yeah, let's seize upon this event, this sickness, and let's make it a tool to advance our cause of a global system or whatever their cause is. See, everything's coming out in the open. And the things that many people who simply love the truth and we're trying to discern the difference between what's being told them and what is the crazy, because there's the crazy guys out there, okay? And I'm going to say this real quick too. I'm going to throw out another opinion in. I know there are a lot of people who watch this who love Donald Trump. I get it. I think he's got good qualities back. I don't really care about the person. I care about the policy. Okay, what's he stand for? What's he going to do? And again, there's overlapping there. If you're an idiot, you're going to do idiotic things. If you're smart, you're going to do smart things. You know, I get it. I get that. I really do. But don't be a nut job. Okay? So we were watching, and of course, this is what the networks do. They go to some rally somewhere and they find the nut jobs. That's what they do, because then they can promote to everyone that everybody's a nut job. All I can say is this. Don't fall into Trump worship or Biden worship or anybody worship, okay? We saw one guy going around where he'd photographed Donald Trump's face and cut it out and was wearing it. Don't be a nut job, okay? Don't. Stop doing that. You're not helping. Actually, I get support. I do. Carry the sign. Wear red, white, and blue. But there's a line where it really becomes exhibitionism, and it becomes, nut job is the best way. Okay, I know I'm going to make some people mad by saying that, but you gotta stop. You don't do the crazy. You can be a witness. You can stand up for what's right without becoming, that. Anyway, number 5, that one should get your ire up a little bit. Number 6. Now here's one, as I've mentioned before, disclose, okay, like you're going to disclose some information. Okay, here's some information, been in a box, I'm going to disclose it to you. I'm going to let you see it, okay? So this is a news agency called Disclose TV. Most of the outlets, you can get it, I think, on YouTube, you can get it on Twitter, you can get it on Telegram. There's lots of ways to get to it. One of the best, in my opinion, it attempts to do very much what I attempt to do on Tuesdays. And that is to just to gather different resources so that you can go look at them. So when you see a link that goes, one of my links to Disclose, typically they will give like a short paragraph, a summary, and then right underneath it in red, I think red, they'll tell you where they got it. Like they got it from Newsweek or The Telegraph or Newsmax or a number of them. They pull from a lot of sources. And again, I will pull through from some of the legacy news minutes, almost never, because they're almost always distorted, okay? And they do not tell the truth either by commission or omission, but once in a while they do. Anyway, so this one is from Disclose. Actually, I think a few of these are. And I forget where it comes from, but you can find it. So this one, it is the FBI itself, okay? So tune in, listen close. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, a top-tier United States governmental institution, has now, are you ready for this? Come out and admitted that the sickness, that's all I can say, was not natural, but man-made, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. My point to this, besides just knowing the truth, is that it is the truth. You see, the truth always comes out. Don't be so open-minded your brains fall out, but don't just, I like listening. I like the sound of this narrator's voice, so I'm going to listen to them. Please, if you are a lover of truth, as you claim you are, then you ought to care about whether or not what you're hearing is actually the truth or someone's watered down, chopped up, flat out deceptive, or by omission, not the truth. Okay? You can't say you're a lover of truth and not love the truth. That's called a lie. That's called self-deception. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, if we love the man who says he's the truth, that means we love the truth. And if we love the truth, we will not ignore the truth. All right, so you're going to want to read that one. Number 7, this one is from Twitter. I was very much against Twitter because what I was involuntarily exposed to was a lot of pornography. And I'm not saying I searched it out, but I'm saying I couldn't go hardly, scroll down at all before I was seeing some half-naked person. And I'm not going to do that. So I I got on years ago, and then I got off. Then when Elon Musk took over, and he eliminated approximately 40,000 not pornographic sites. I'm sure they're still on there, but the child porn, I didn't even know that happened, but I knew that they had shifted significantly. Now, I'm not saying Twitter is safe, okay? Please, if you have issues with that, don't go on there, because I still think there's a lot of crud on there. But I will say this, it's one of the best sources of diverse information coming into one place. And so, yeah, I sometimes will refer you to that. Most of these links, even if you don't have an account with them, you can go and see that one link, okay? So I don't spend a lot of time on them, I'm just telling you. But here's one that really doesn't give you a lot of information, but it can direct you to other information. And that is, I'm calling this tongue-in-cheek. Are you listening to me? Tongue-in-cheek. What will happen to the good doctor? And you'll find out who the good doctor is. The good doctor, and I say that in the loosest sense of the word, the good doctor is very likely about to be prosecuted, because you cannot give misinformation or disinformation or fake news or out-and-out lies to make yourself and your position look good when you're in that level of authority and get away with it forever. Look at that one. That's number 7. Number 8. This one directly relates to the 100,000 WhatsApp messages. I talked about that. So, yeah, go to that. Some of these are multiples, right? They deal with the same issue, because one might not give you as much good information as the next, so on and so on. Number 9. I actually have way more than I normally do today. My apologies. You know, I go through these links. I go through the week and I put them down there, and I have a whole bunch of them. And then I ask God to help me eliminate the ones, because there's just too much going on. And so this time I did have a lot. Yeah, but you'll have to choose which ones you want to look at. Number 10 also has to deal with the sickness, okay? 10 myths. Let's call that an untruth. Myths told by authorities. I'm gonna go past that. But this, again, is in line with that. More information. One more, number 10. Some of you know who Senator Josh Hawley is. He is one of the men who is trying to stand up for what is right and come against the system as it is. Okay, I'm not saying he always does it right, but Josh Hawley introduced a bill to the Senate concerning the sickness, saying we want all information that's been hidden, redacted, kept under top secret labels, whatever you want to call it, we want it all. We want it all. The American public wants to know all of it. The truth. We're not stupid. We can make up our own minds, okay? You don't get to control our minds and our thought. You're not the thought police. You don't have a right to do this. And guess what? This is really good news. You ready for this? He introduced this bill. We want it all. It was unanimously passed by the Senate. Woohoo! Everybody dance. Everybody rejoice. I'm saying both sides of the aisle, Democrat, Republic, okay, right, left, conservative, liberal, whatever, unanimously passed. You know why? Let me tell you why. I'm not trying to be like cynical about it, but I really believe there comes a time where it doesn't do you any good to hide anymore, because you know it's going to come out anyway. Again, thank God. I know this is going to sound strange coming out of my mouth, and yours too. Thank God for the internet. As much corruption and pollution. You see, the internet's just a tool. It's like a hammer. You can hammer a nail in it and build something with it, or you can bash your neighbor in the forehead. It's what we do with it. And these creations of technology are not the devil. They can be used by the devil and bad people, okay? But can you see how God has used the informational networks to expose what would have stayed hidden otherwise? I'm trying to expand your mind, okay? It is literally a gift from God. So that's great news. You want to look at that one. Number 11, keeping secrets, okay? This is another one, kind of goes along with that. Okay, this is TikTok. Now, I will say this about TikTok. I do believe it is a national security issue. The CCP, Chinese Communist Party, is using it to gather information. They're on a war footing. They're assessing their enemy. They're using informational outlets to do bad, for sure. Okay, not the entire continent and not the entire nation, but those in charge. You must make a distinction because you were called to love and spread the gospel to people, right? All right. So I don't have I had a TikTok account at one time, canceled it, okay? But still there's stuff that comes out on that on occasion that I like. This is one of them. I use the abbreviation LOTT because I wasn't sure if the algorithms would pick it up and kick it off, but I'm going to say it. It stands for Libs, L-I-B-S, okay, of TikTok. L-O-T-T, Libs of TikTok. Now, very simply, this was a young woman who saw all the crazy happening and said, you know what? I don't think people even know this is really happening. Okay? I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Okay? And I'm gonna start a TikTok channel, and all I'm going to do is take their videos that they're posting for the public. They're proud of them, of their arrogance and their debauchery, and I'm just going to put them all on one channel so people who don't want to subscribe to their, wickedness and their gross things can be on this channel and just get a quick highlight of them so they'll know and they'll be properly informed. She kept herself anonymous for quite a while, and now finally she's come out and said, it's me. So she didn't want to be backlashed, didn't want to be attacked. Yeah, because people who basically have morals, okay, and believe in justice and kind of a conservative outlook on the world, maybe a biblical worldview or Judaism or whatever, but they're trying to embrace morality. They don't go to people's homes and try to set them on fire or try to attack them or troll them and try to, you know what I'm saying. So she kept herself hidden, but now she's come out. So if you have a TikTok account and you say, I'm going to keep it for whatever reason, I'm not judging, this is one of all the ones you should have. This is one you should have. Okay. If you don't, you can still look at this. And basically, the first one, the first one's an introductory. The second one, so I've got three of them on here. The second one is an interview with her. I forget who interviewed her, Fox or somebody sat her down and said, I remember. The first one is her talking into the camera saying, hi, my name is so-and-so. Here's why I created this channel. The second one is an interview where she sits down with a small group of other people asking her, news journalists, and asking why she did this. So it's kind of a repeat. Number three, now listen closely. I don't want anybody writing me. Say, I didn't know, okay? If you're just joining us, go back and listen to the beginning, okay? This third one is graphic. Now, it's not pornographic. It's pretty close, but it's not. But it is an example of one of the many, many things that she shows. I would gather to say that probably about 90% of you who watch this program know that this is happening, but you don't know to the degree that it's happening. And so please don't watch it if you don't have stomach for it, okay, whatever. And certainly it's not entertainment, but it is information. All right, let's skip to another issue. I'm almost out of time here. I'm going to go through these last ones quickly. I talked about the retail theft. I talked about the people that are just walking in the store and how this has grown from mobs because individuals, listen close now, individuals couldn't get away with doing it, but the mob could because there's too many of them to stop. Well, now individuals can get away with it in at least larger retail chain stores. They won't stop them, okay? But smaller stores, thank God some of them are still brave enough to do it. So number 12 has to do with that. Number 13, I have two of them about Portland. These are really important, I think. So the first one is just an announcement, and some of you you're going to be shocked by this. There will be no more Walmarts in Portland. Now, Walmart lover, Walmart hater, I don't care. but it does signal something extremely significant when one of the largest, maybe the largest, I don't know, box stores can't even operate in a city because of the crime, because of the lack of responsibility on the part of, and I'm not going to say on the part of the police. Don't you dare blame the police for this. Okay, they're not the guys that get together and have coffee and donuts and decide they're not going to arrest anyone anymore. They have bosses, and it's their boss's fault. So here you've got the mayor and the council members. I'm trying not to get on a soapbox here. I'm trying not to get too passionate. Okay, are you listening to me though? It's like how far, or let me say it this way: it doesn't seem to matter how far it goes, how many people are shot and killed. We're talking about human blood spilt. How many businesses get ruined? How much feces, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be crass, gets put on the sidewalks of downtown? It doesn't matter how bad it gets, they will not recant. Let me tell you this, that is insanity. That is a mental disorder. When you are so in love with your position that it destroys people's lives and you are still not even willing to admit it, much less change your policy. This is something else. I look at this and I'm not just mad because of bad leaders. I'm looking at this and I'm going, people are suffering. And these, pardon me, but stupid leaders, they're so in love with their position, they cannot go, you know what, we made a mistake. Defunding the police, we made a mistake. Saying no bail, we made a mistake. Saying we're not going to arrest people for shoplifting anymore. Okay. At what point does humility come into play? And here's the other crazy thing about it. The public that can vote them out won't do it. So, I don't know what to say. Walmart is no more in Portland, or will be shortly. And then the other one was a real estate agent who gives a quick little testimony. He's got an office downtown. The back of his head faces the street, and he comes into work one morning, and there are 3 bullet holes behind his head, or behind, coming through the glass. And he's showing people, he's saying, if I was sitting here doing work when these bullet holes came in, they would have hit me, all 3 of them, in the back of the head. So he goes, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. There was a time that U-Haul ran out of trucks to rent to people in California, all of their hundreds of outlets, because so many people were trying to move out. It's like, why do these guys hold on to their corrupt way of thinking? I don't know. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine of anything? All right, last few, 16. So this one is hard to believe. It is taken a little bit out of context, but basically Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, there's something fishy going on. He basically looks in the camera and says, United States, you're going to have to send your sons and daughters to die on the battlefield in Ukraine, just like we've sent our sons and daughters to die on the battlefield of Ukraine. And I said, not over my dead body. No. How arrogant for the leader of another country to demand. And again, it's taken a little out of context, but in essence, it's still what he's saying, okay, is still the truth. No, I mean, the truth as he perceives it. So, not going to go too deep in that one. Number 17, I mentioned Redacted. It's actually a program. Now, I'm a little on the fence about the program Redacted. One of the things that I don't like, and this is totally personal, I don't like it when they spend, 10, 15, 20, 40 minutes jibber-jabbing. That's my daughter's phrase, jibber-jab, to get to the point. So they put a title on, again, I know I'm bunny trailing, but they put a title like, President Biden draws a red line in the sand, and that catches me, okay, as it's intended to. Okay, I want to hear about that. Okay, I want to know about that. Okay, I'm all filled up with Jesus all week long. This is my time to look at stuff. I want to look at that. And I have to wade through, and I've probably done this myself. Anyway, they actually give some pretty good information. They're always long, but usually you have to fast forward. They actually have a lead-in time where they're like me, I give an announcement 30 minutes before, 15 minutes before, whatever the program, so people can get ready. I get that. So you got to go through all that, and then, yeah. So, but they do have some good information. All right, 18. This is one you might have missed. 3 states. Now, you're going to, 3 states in this here United States of America, in one particular night, okay, just one night, guys woke up the next morning, multiple counties in 3 states, to a sheet, a layer of white dust substance on their vehicles and their houses and their streets. Okay. Of course, the first thing is like, has the down, what's the word I'm looking for when the stuff goes up in the air? Is this something that is a fallout? That's the word. Is the fallout from Ohio? And they're very quick to say, no, it's not. And I don't think it is. But they're also, okay, here we go again. Redacted, or let's use ignorance, okay? We don't really know. That's one of the ways, okay? We don't really know. So listen, we live in the 21st century. They can map your genome. They know your cell structure. I mean, we've got scientific knowledge that would blow your mind if you knew. A lot of it we don't even know. And yet they cannot figure out what this substance is that fell down from the sky or where it came from. Okay. And again, I put this out here. The last thing they said is that they think it might be pollen. Okay. And it might be pollen. But there's a lot of unanswered questions. Where did it get here? The one of the big theories is it came out of airplanes. Okay? Okay. I don't know that much about it. I'm not going to say stuff I don't know. Okay? But it did happen. There are lots of pictures. You at least ought to look at the pictures. All right. Number 19. You know, I'm going to do a couple of things here on abortion, which is a work of hell and a work of Satan, without a doubt, in my opinion. Now, many of you remember the story about a man named Bob Jones, who was given the ultimatum by a demonic entity that stood in front of him and says, if you tell people, this is when the abortion pill was first coming out, said, if you tell people, I'll kill you. And he told people anyway, because that's who he was. It's like, I don't care what you do, devil. And he did. He actually died, but the Lord raised him from the dead. Whole big story. Now, my point in that is apparently, listen, that demonic entity, okay, that devil, that demon, whatever you want to call it, that fallen angel, I don't care what you call it, cared enough about the abortion pill to say, I'm going to take your life. You see, I think sometimes we don't care as much as our enemy cares. Anyway, so since now Walgreens has come out, and since, again, here we go again, because of so much public pressure, you must not think that your voice doesn't matter. That's a big deception of the enemy. Because of the level of public pressure about the ability to get you see, in the past you could not get the abortion pill without a subscription, which is relatively easy to get. So it's not like it's super hard to do, but at least it was a slow down thing. Now they're saying, oh yeah, we're going to make it to where you can just walk into Walgreens over the counter. Imagine your daughter, your teenage daughter who made a mistake, walking into the store, never talked to you, never talked to a doctor, and just buys the abortion pill that kills the child and flushes it out of her system. I'm sorry, that's gross. I know it is. But it is gross. The whole issue is. And so Walgreens, to their credit, probably not to their credit, because it's always about money with these. And I'm not like an all corporations are of the devil. Yeah, some of them are, for sure. Okay? But this is not about the big corporation going, gosh, you know what? We want to do the right thing. No, it's about money. If they think they're going to lose more money than they're going to gain by their decision, I'm going to say that again. If they think they're going to lose, the guys in the boardroom, lose more money by their decision than they will gain money, then that's the decision they'll make. Whichever decision they believe will cause their bottom line, their financial bottom line, to get better or to stay stable. That's the decision they'll make. Do you understand? Walgreens, it's not about the employers. It's not about how good of a business it is. It's about a small group of men and women who sit around a large table and decide what all the other chain stores have to do. Do you get that? Okay, we need to understand how this works. So they said, we're not going to do it. They bowed to the public pressure. Okay, we're going to lose money if we do this. There's so much, thank God people are finally starting to speak up. And they said, we're not going to do it. Well, the illustrious President of the United States, that's what this link is, doubled down. You see, if he could, he'd make a federal law that no one can prohibit abortion all the way up, not just to 9 months, but after the child is born. Trust me on this. If he thought he could do it, he would absolutely do it tomorrow. Okay? And it's satanic. I don't care. Copy this, cut it out, post it everywhere you want. It is satanic. It really is. It's evil. All right. So he's doubling down on it, going to try to pressure them to go back on that. So, number 20. We got 2 more left and I'm done. I should be done right now. All right. The first one is a speech that shocked the UK. All I'm going to say is you ought to watch this. This is a very articulate man. I so appreciated what he said. And then number 21, congratulations, you elected a dead man. Would it surprise you to know that a man who is dead, who used to belong to the Democratic Party, was either by design or by ignorance literally elected into a position? You cannot make this stuff up. Anyway, I'm going to go. I want to be able to download this. So God bless you guys. Love you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your comments. And as always, give yourself